Welcome everybody to SJG Perspective. Today I want to talk about the shooting that happened in Texas and the good guy with the gun stopping the bad guy with the gun. We're going to get into that a little bit. Before we do, please like and subscribe, or like and share this video. I need all my 50 people, plus people, 60 people that will on average watch this to share it out. Put it on your Facebook, put it on your Twitter, put it on your wherever you social media at. And then while you do that or after you do that, it doesn't really matter. Please subscribe to me on Parler at SJG Perspective. If you haven't checked out Parler, do it. It's a really good move. Check me out on BitChute and subscribe to me there. And then also follow me or subscribe to me on DLive. Download the DLive app onto your phone. And that's another streaming app to where if I'm ever kicked off YouTube, that's where I'll be streaming. So DLive at SJG Perspective, Twitter and BitChute. Those are not Twitter too, Perspective SJG. Parler and BitChute. And you can do Minds and whatever else is scrolling here below on, the screen down here. Do any one of those you want, but whatever. But yeah, so do that. I'm already a minute in. Okay, jumping in right now. So this shooting that just happened in Texas, it is White Settlement, Texas. A shooting happened today where some piece of human garbage, some fecal matter, from walking fecal matter, walked into a church. And after the congregation was done, shaking and greeting one another, shaking hands and greeting one another, this POS, that stands for a piece of shit, walked out, got a gun, came back, and then sat down and decided that he was going to just start shooting some people. So some people say it was a shotgun. It was a long gun. And and he shot some people. He shot two people, one of which died and one of which was dead and then not resurrected, but, brought back to resuscitated on the way to the hospital. So he killed one person, and then the good guy with the gun, which we're going to get to in a second, stopped that bad POS with his gun, his good gun. Now, interesting note that's just going to shock a lot of people. This security guy for the church has been carrying his weapon at the church, concealed, but carrying his weapon at the church for many, many moons. And this is going to shock you. This guy's gun on his hip has never killed anybody in the church. I know that blows your mind because guns are deadly and they kill people randomly. We all know that, and that's why we need to get rid of them, right? Because they hurt. They're scary pieces of metal that hurt, that are constructed in such a way, and they shoot these lead and copper bullets out that kill people, and they're unpredictable and they just kill people. Guns just kill people. And this gun on this good guy's hip has never killed anybody. It's a shocker. It's kind of blows my mind. I don't get how it works. I'm laying it on pretty thick if you're not picking up on the sarcasm. If you're not, you got bigger problems. Because yeah, I'm being very facetious when I say that. The good guy with the gun stopped the bad POS with the gun. Now, this is a narrative that gets shot down by the mainstream liberal press constantly. That good guys with the guns really don't save the bad guys with the guns, or don't stop the bad guys with the guns. That it's a fallacy, that it's a false, that it really isn't that much of a help. They don't like attacking this or they don't like talking about this or presenting this perspective simply for the fact it does not match with their narrative. It doesn't match with the narrative. The guns are bad and they kill people and they hurt people. And if you have a gun or you use a gun or you're around a gun, you should be worried and scared because they're bad and evil and they kill people. Guns are inanimate. They don't have a heartbeat. They don't have lungs. They don't have a brain. They don't have a conscience. They're just metal. Metal and, well, unless you have a nice like Glock or whatnot. It's like carbon, polymer and whatnot. But anyways, most guns are just plastic and metal. That's all they are. They don't have any consciousness. Consciousness. Much like a vehicle, a car. But we rail, not we, but the media and the leftists and the Democrats and the progressives and all the gun-hating crowd that are scared of guns rail against how we need gun control. Are you aware? I'm Shaggy, or I'm Scooby-Doo right now. Are you aware, is a better way to say that Guns kill roughly 40,000 people a year, give or take a couple thousand. 30,000 of those roughly, again, are suicides. 10,000 of those are homicide, right, in nature. 6,000, I believe, somewhere in that range are gun violence or gang violence, right? Of which 99.9% of the gang members are not allowed to have guns because they're convicted felons. And you're not allowed to have a gun. It's already illegal for them to have a gun. And they still get the guns. It's weird. And they still use them to do bad things. It's super weird. I don't understand why having those laws, right, that they just don't stop these things from happening. Because bad guys get guns and they still use them to do bad things. But the good guys with the guns don't ever do bad things with them unless they become a bad guy. But the large percentage of good people with guns and concealed weapon permits and so on and so forth don't ever use their guns to do bad things. Not the large portion of it. The lion's share, 99.9% of them don't. But we still want to get rid of guns because guns are bad and evil and scary. So, getting back to my thoughts here. There's a few thousand people a year that are killed with the homicidal tendency. Somebody, bad guy, gets a gun and kills other people. Excluding the suicides, excluding the gang violence, pieces of thug life, freaking hood rat trash, right? Excluding all of that crap. You just have people that snap or lose it or whatever, and it's a small percentage of people. 3, 4, 5,000 people a year use them. Out of that, the long guns used in those, it's like, it's way under 1,000 people a year are killed from a long gun. I want to say it's under 500, somewhere in there. It's between 500 and 1,000 people are by an AR-15 or some scary assault rifle, right? Semi-automatic rifle. But that is the narrative of which all the leftist, progressive, Democrat candidates are running on. All of them are running on major gun reform. We see it playing out in Virginia right now where Blackface Northam, Virginia Governor Blackface, he actually is pulling for to draconian, authoritarian gun laws on these on his constituents in his state, and they're all pushing back against it and saying, you can have my gun when you pry from my gold dead finger, you SOB. And law enforcement agencies are actually saying, we're not going to back it up. We're not going to follow. We're not going to follow suit. We're not going to implement these gun laws that Northam's trying to get passed. Old Blackface. No, we're not going to do it. A large percentage of he even said he was going to call in the National Guard. The National Guard says we're not going to comply either. We're not taking the guns from these law-abiding citizens. Everyone is so fastened on taking away our Second Amendment rights and demonizing them at every corner. And you got to ask yourself why that is. Why do they want to get the guns out of the hands of the people? Getting back to the story, why is it that nobody wants to talk about the fact? Some people are talking about it, but it doesn't fit the narrative. Again, this isn't fitting the narrative, right? So people are it's not getting nearly the play that it should be getting because it's a good guy with a gun that stops a bad guy with a gun. So I touched on the 40,000 people that are killed, gun violence, the progressive candidates, the Democrats, the media, the Twitterati, right? The bleeding heart Twitterati, whatever. Social justice, gun-hating, vegan, Birkenstock wearing, bark-eating fools on there keep saying that we shouldn't have guns. Nobody wants to bring up the fact that 500,000 on the very least amount are saved from defensive uses of gun every year. That number ranges from 500,000 as high as some people said 3 million. Most people think it's probably more commonly in the 1 to 1.2 million people a year are saved from defensive uses of gun. That means somebody brandishes the gun, right, and stops an offensive assault on them. Or somebody shoots somebody with a gun, doesn't kill them, but shoots them because they are offensively attacking them. They're breaking into their house. They're trying to take their car. They're trying to rob them. They're trying to beat them up. They're trying to kill them themselves or rape or whatever. They're attacking them and they brandish or use a gun in self-defense, and 500,000 to as high as 3 million lives are saved annually from that. Nobody talks about that. So even if we took the 40,000 people a year, let's just pretend for a minute, 40,000 people are just going out and randomly killing people. Just 40,000 people are killing other people a year. It's so terrible. Even on the very, very lowest possible statistics from the CDC and the FBI, not just random whatevers. This is a report and a study done by the CDC and the FBI that 500,000 people's lives are saved. Right there should end the argument. Okay, well, 500,000, greater good, right? It's about the greater good. Isn't that what everyone always talks about? Getting rid of your guns, giving up your gun rights for the greater good? Well, the greater good is 500,000 people are saved a year from guns. Guns don't automatically kill people, just like this old pops here in the church today. You know what? He ain't the smoke wagon, and he dropped this POS that came in and wanted to kill many other people. How many other people in that congregation would have been killed if there wouldn't have been a good guy with a gun there? That dude was shooting fish in an effing barrel. He would have been shooting fish in a barrel because nobody could do anything. Hide behind a wooden pew while he walks around and or get up and run, right? And just get mowed down. How many other people would have been killed if this old Gramps, this old Texas, smoke wagon carrying Gramps wouldn't have yanked that pistol wagon and dropped this POS? How many other people would have died? How many other? You got to ask yourself. Here's what happened right here. Here's the video of it. TMZ. Hey, TMZ. You probably can't see, but this jackwad back here where the arrow is, go to TMZ and watch it yourself. Anyways, he comes up, says some words to this dude standing right here. He's all hooded up. By the way, I'm not saying, but I'm saying nobody's came out and said who the shooter is yet. White male, right? White Trump supporting alt-right male. Nobody has said any of that stuff yet. So chances are he is not a white guy. I'm just going to put it out there. He's probably not a white guy. Could be a white guy, but nobody's pushing the narrative of who the shooter was. And usually, if he's a white guy, that's one of the first things that come out and just gets hammered in the media. White guy with a gun, white guy with a gun, white guy with a gun, white male with a gun. When it's the other way around, they like to kind of tiptoe away from that because that doesn't fit the narrative. Again, that doesn't fit the narrative, what doesn't fit the narrative is, again, a good guy with a gun. So homeboy pulls out his smoke wagon here and thinks that he's gonna. It doesn't think, he does. He drops this dude sitting by the wall, and they're gonna cut part of this out. You can go to TMZ and watch it. Then Gramps, man, he drew down on that homeboy and dropped him like a sack of dead potatoes. Literally, he took the room temperature challenge and he didn't pass, and ended it. He ended it right there. Ended the whole shooting. And so here's my point. My point is this. Here's my point. A good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. And that is not the narrative that the mainstream media wants you to hear. Guns are not the problem. They're inanimate objects that only hurt people when bad people with bad intentions use them. Bad people with bad intentions are going to get the guns. There's 300 million guns, 400 million guns in America. There's no way they're ever going to be able to take all those guns away from people without having a very bloody civil war. And it's our constitutional right. And it isn't the guns that are ever hurting anybody. It's the people using the guns. So change your logic or employ your logic. Think about this if you think guns are bad from a different perspective. It's not the guns. It's the operators of the guns. And taking guns out of good people's hands is only going to increase bad people's motivation, encouragement, freedom, application of doing bad things. That's the only thing it's going to do by taking good guns away from good people. Because every time you are in an emergency, you call a good guy with a gun. He's called a police officer. Some of you would think they're not good guys, and that's kind of an ironic assumption that you don't want any of us to have guns, but the cops are bad, but cops should have guns. That's a different video. But the fact of the matter is you call a good guy with a gun to come help you in your time of need. That's fine and dandy. You should do that. But how about you get trained up? Don't be scared of a gun. Learn how to use a gun. Use your constitutional right and get yourself out there and practiced up with that gun and use that gun. and carry that gun with you as much as possible. Get yourself a nice little carry weapon and carry it to protect you and your family and or somebody else's friends and family in a bad situation. Be the change you want to see in the world, right? Until next time, it's SJG Perspective. We are going to be doing videos 3 days a week, New Year's resolution, and one stream a week at least. So keep an eye on that. Please follow me on these other channels I talked about. And I think that's about it. So until next time, I'm glad to be back making videos. It's going to be fun. It's SJG Perspective without fear or animus. And until next time, we will talk to you when we talk to you. Have a great night. Bye.